Hello, my friends. This is Rabbi Aharon Dobinsky coming to you today live from the holy city of Jerusalem, Israel. Hope you all had a great week. I know it's tough out there. I'd love to tell you things are going to get better. They are, but not immediately, and not before they get, I'm afraid, because of how things are going, a good deal worse. But on good news point, I'm going to tell you something that's really important you should know if you don't already. It's going to increase your self-esteem 1,000-fold if you didn't know it. The truth is that when you came into this world, Hashem brought you into this world because only you can do what he brought you here to do. I mean, a lot of what you have to do is self-work to correct things in your own life, etc. But there's something special that he has brought you into this world to do. What is that? I don't know. I'm not Hashem. He'll tell you. You want to know? Ask him. He'll tell you. But you have to have the right kind of connection with him. Oh, by the way, before I go any further, I should tell you something to bring you back to earth. The fact is there are 7.5 billion human beings crawling on the face of the earth, and the same is true for each and every one of them. Each one of them has something that only they can do and nobody else can do it. Okay? So you should know that. That should kind of level things out. It should make you a bit more humble. And humility is so important these days. I'm going to tell you why in just a moment. One thing you should know is that there are three most humble individuals ever on planet Earth were Avraham Avinu, Moshe Rabbeinu, and David HaMelech. Okay, those are the three. Avraham Avinu said, I'm only dust. David said, I don't know what I am. I don't think I'm anything special. And Moshe says, I don't know what I am. I have no idea what am I that I should even be here? This is humility. The reason I give you these examples is because we need to understand that part of what this coronavirus is has to do with us achieving our humility. I know, we're all out there going, but I'm a humble person. I don't brag to anybody. I'm not that kind of a person. Well, if that's true, good for you. You're a long way further down the road than most people are. But the fact that you would even say that would indicate to me that there is a humility problem that still needs to be dealt with. Because everybody knows, particularly the humble, that they are not where they need to be yet. I mean, Moshe Rabbeinu wrote in Torah for under the direction of Hashem, but he was the most humble man on earth. You say, well, how can somebody write something like that and still be humble? Well, first of all, it wasn't his words. He was told what to write. And second of all, when he used the word, he left out a letter in it. He left out the letter in it because he didn't feel he was all that humble. And when Hashem said, how come you have ink left over? I gave you exactly enough ink to write the Torah. He said to him, because I wasn't really comfortable with calling myself the most humble person in the world. So Hashem took that ink. They took that ink that he was supposed to use for that letter that he didn't put in, and he threw it on Moshe's face. No, it wasn't black. It wasn't blackface. It was the light of Torah. And he threw that on Moshe's face, and from that day forward, Moshe Rabbeinu had to go around with a mask across his face because people couldn't talk to him. They couldn't stare at him. It was too much light. They couldn't handle it all. And that, I think, is where the mask got started. And we're doing the mask today for the same reason. Look around you at all the people. They have masks on. How regal do they all look with their masks on? Yeah, not very, right? The mask is a great equalizer. It makes you and me the same. We're just two guys wearing masks, or two people wearing masks. We are not anything special beyond what Hashem has made us. And don't get me wrong. If he made you, you're special. Now, the difference between the self-esteem and ego is like this. Self-esteem says, I'm special. Hashem made me. And you'd be right. And same with your neighbor, by the way. And ego says, I am special. Hashem made me, which makes me better than you. No. You're not better than anybody. You're not worse than anybody, but you're not better than anybody. My father, Oliver Shalom, used to always say that everybody has a purpose in life. Everybody. If nothing more than to act as a perfect example of what we shouldn't do. So let's remember that. Because what's happened is we got coronavirus. Corona. Remember my interpretation of that? Corona. Call, please. In other words, let's stay in touch with Hashem. He's your father. He wants to hear from you the same as you want to hear from your children. So he wants you to call him. Karana. He wants us to call him. So we should be calling him, and we should be humble because of the mask that we're wearing. But apparently we didn't do enough. Because I remember telling my Rebbitzin when Corona came first, I said, let's hope that people get the wake-up call and do what needs to be done, because if not, I don't want to even think about what's coming next. And what was coming next? Violence in the streets, domestic terrorism, looting, people out of control, people demanding that you treat them in a certain way. Here's what your responsibility is. Your responsibility with them is to treat them how you would like to be treated. You know, Morgan Freeman was once asked by somebody, and he is a man of color. He was asked, what can we do to stop this racial tension? Which, by the way, I have to tell you, before President Obama became president, it was virtually gone. Nobody talked about it. Nobody did anything about it. Nobody seemed to have felt it. It didn't seem to be an issue. It was a non-issue. Statues had been up for 150 years. They weren't offensive to anybody. Now they're offensive. Do you think this has been manufactured? Of course, this has been manufactured. This is all designed to create conflict and divisiveness. And nobody does that better than the former president of the United States. He and his wife did a superb job of pitting one race against the other race. The fact is, Morgan Freeman was asked that question. And what did he say? He said, well, for starters, you could stop calling me a black man, and I could stop calling you a white man. We're just men. I'm a man, you're a man. That's it. Why do we have to put any kind of other things on it? And the term African American seems to be in vogue. Somebody's an African American. I would ask them, have you ever even been to Africa? The answer you would find for most of them is no, they have not been there. But they want to use that term anyway because it depicts who they are. Now, if we're going to go by that, then we have to all live by that thing. Then I would have to say I'm a Russian American. Now, understand, I don't want to be in Russia, so why would I even think about that? Do they want to be in Africa? If they wanted to, they'd be there. They have free rule. They can go anytime they want. If that's what they wanted to do, they could do that. I'm not saying that's what they should do. I'm saying if that's what they want to do. If you're in America, it's the best country right now, except maybe Israel, for equality. They talk about racism, systematic racism. There is no systematic racism. There's a thing that you should understand, though. If you don't want to have problems with the police, don't commit crimes. And if you do get arrested by the police, don't fight back, because they'll hurt you. These are simple things. They're not all that hard to understand. But for some reason or other, we take people who are criminals, violent criminals sometimes, and turn them into heroes because they got killed unjustly by policemen, which isn't right. They shouldn't kill anybody unjustly. Not a white man, not a black man, not any colored man, not any woman, not any child. If they do that, this person should be thrown off the force. They should be educated in sensitivity so they understand what they have to do, but that's not what we're here to discuss today. We're here to discuss what's going on. What's going on is violence all over the world. Now, this is a second warning. And I will say to you what I said to my Rabbi when this happened. I hope we listen this time, because God forbid we don't. I don't even want to think about what is next. What could it be? What could a Kadosh Baruch Hu bring on top of us? Could he bring to us earthquakes? Of course he could. Volcanoes? Sure. With earthquakes and volcanoes, tsunamis that would flood vast pieces of land? Of course he could. Tornadoes, airplane crashes, railroad crashes all over the interstate. He could bring all these things, if that's what he wants to do. Do you want these things? I don't think we do. I think any of us, to a person, would say, no, we don't want these things. Then let's do what he said when he started with Corona. Call me. Talk to Hashem. Spend your time in Hidbodedut. You tell him you're very grateful for all he's given you and enumerate what that is you're grateful for. You tell him how sorry you are that you did not do what things that you know you're supposed to do and that you're going to try and do better in the future, and then follow up on your pledge to do better. And then third of all, ask him what he wants from you. Ask him what he needs from you. Ask him what you have to do. It's in Torah. You can read it. But if you don't have the patience and you don't have the training, ask him. He'll tell you. It will come to you like a flash of light. And that's what you need to know, my friends. You need to know what is expected of you, and you need to follow on those expectations. That's what we all need to do. If we can do that, remember what I told you before. We create our own personal redemption. Mine, yours, everybody's. And we have enough people who created their own personal redemption. It will bring on the final redemption, Moshiach Tzidkenu, the building of the third Beit HaMikdash, B'mheira v'yameinu, may it happen speedily and in our days. Amen. Now, listen, everybody, have a great Shabbos. I hope this gets up before Shabbos. Facebook has been really hard to get things up on time. If not, it'll certainly be there by Motzei Shabbos. In the meantime, you have a great Shabbos. You enjoy the week ahead. And let's work on these things. Let's work on the problems we have so that Hashem is not compelled to give us more tzuras. We don't need any more tzuras. We got enough. Let's deal with what we have. Let's try to be understanding of each other. Let's try to understand that we can tell somebody we don't agree with them without using four-letter words and all sorts of things that are nasty and calling them names. We should be able to say what our part is. We should be able to give facts. If they can't give facts back, then you're talking to the wrong person. But we need to be able to understand the people. We need to get along. Do you know the people of Bavel? Just a very quick note. Was building a tower to get to the heavens, to get to Hashem. And they were doing very well. And they were very successful at it. Do you know why? Not because it wasn't an evil intention. It was an evil intention. But here's the thing. They were united. That's how we have to be. We have to be united, remembering each one of us is like the fingers on our hands. Together, nothing can get through. Apart, things can get through everything. So we need to take care of each other, take care of ourselves, and make this world a place where everybody has a place, and we can argue different points of view without calling names and saying nasty words. Be well. God bless you all, and have a great week ahead.